All right, everybody, you're listening to Salty's Live Music. I'm Brad Banyas. We're back here at Fernandina Beach, the Songwriters Festival, and it's just been an awesome day. Just getting started. We have Brad Clawson on with us, singer, songwriter out of Nashville today, originally from West Texas. Brad,
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
no worries. So, you moved from Texas to go to Middle Tennessee State. Were you always a musician, or you just kind of got wrapped up in all the things in Nashville? Like what?
Yeah. I always loved music. I played, back, I don't even know if they still do it anymore, but back in the day where in my small town, everybody had to play in the school band, do at least 2 years of school band. And so, I did that and I was a drummer in the band, whatever. And then, just kind of through that, just fell in love with playing the drums. Got a drum set at some point in middle school, and then kind of I was in a band or two back home, and then ended up going to Middle Tennessee State and was in a couple other bands here and there. None of them ever did anything. We'd play like we would jam and hang out, and then play like one show, and then somebody would move or whatever, And so it was never really like I'm going to be in this band and we're going to make it. It was just kind of something to do for fun. And then somewhere in there, I started playing guitar. I think it was my freshman year of college because couldn't bring a drum set to the dorms, So I grabbed a guitar and kind of figured that out my freshman year of college. And that was I always loved music. Growing up in West Texas, Austin is a huge music scene. They have a huge, the blues and some of that, a lot of that Texas country that all comes out of there. And so I knew I either wanted to go to Austin or Nashville just to be around music. I wasn't being a a songwriter or doing music for a living was never necessarily like the goal. It was just I just wanted to be around it, And so couldn't get into the University of Texas because my grades weren't good enough. So ended up going to Nashville. My dad lived in Nashville at the time, so I just kind of went out there and went to MTSU. Go Blue Raiders.
Great school.
Thanks for letting me in. Yeah.
Great school.
And I was there for a few years. Then when I was there, through a series of circumstances, Mitchell Tenpenny and I, who's a country artist, ended up being roommates while we were there. We met, and so we were just hanging out. He was a songwriting major. I was actually a Parks and Recreation management major. I went to my first music business class, and it was in a room of 200 people, and there were probably, and these classes were, there were probably 5,000 people taking this class, and I was just like, I don't know if this is it. I don't know if this is the way to the top, So I took that class and did fine, but I was like, I think I'm going to do something else, because I was like, I can play music anywhere, it doesn't have to be music industry. So I love the outdoors and I love music. And so I was like, I could be a park ranger, a game warden or something like that. That was kind of the plan in my head. And I was like, I could play, music in bars or church or whatever, So then Mitchell and I were, roommates, and he was a songwriting major. So he would come home and he'd be like, hey, for one of his songwriting classes, he had to write a song every week. And then they'd go to class and then they'd have to play the song. And so we would just sit down and write a song for his class. And that's kind of how it started, the writing process. And then we were like, hey, let's go to this open mic night and let's play these songs we wrote, and kind of started doing that and getting around. And he's a phenomenal singer. So he just kind of took off, and I just got right behind him with my guitar, and I played guitar for him for 6-7 years. And until I finally got my legs under me as a songwriter, and then I was able to do that. So
that's a great story though. Like, so you're kind of in or out. I could do it, not do it. And you just kind of fell back into it.
Well, just kind of, that's the one thing I say about Nashville is it always gives you just enough to keep coming back, right when, and every time I get to the point where I'm like, all right, like maybe this just isn't going to happen. Then, somebody would text me and be like, hey, I heard the song you wrote. I love it. Or, or you get a meeting, or you get a, something would happen and you'd be like, oh, well, maybe this is working, and you kind of come back. And give it a, well, maybe we'll stay for, 6 more months, we'll keep at it. And
So just curious, like as an outsider, like how do they heard you singing your song, or is there something like where people come and look at what you wrote? You have like an area they come in. Like how does that happen? Where like, hey, I heard your like, is there a process, or it just kind of naturally organically happen?
That's what's so frustrating about it, because people ask me that all the time, and there's no like one set way to do it. Every songwriter you meet is going to have a different story of how it happened, And for me personally, it was just playing shows, playing little songwriter rounds, all around town. Me and Mitchell and Ernest and Jordan Walker, Andy Albert, like all these hit songwriters.
Yeah.
Now we were just playing wherever they let us play, little Belcourt taps and listening room before it got too cool.
That's cool.
And if Mitchell was playing, I'd go to his shows, watch him play, and then and it was just kind of like. And I think that still does happen to a certain extent, but a lot of those places that would just let anybody play have closed.
Yeah.
And now you have to, well, if if you're not an artist or you don't have songs on the radio, we're not going to let you play, because they're trying to make money. And,
Absolutely.
so now it's different, people, oh, I saw your song on TikTok, or, oh, I know so-and-so and I saw you write songs with him, so we wanted to check you out. Like it's different now. For me, it was playing shows and then just meeting people. I knew Michael Martin was the, I guess, president of ASCAP at the time. I'm not sure. And I was valeting cars at the Omni Hotel in downtown Nashville. And I valeted his car one day, and I had known him. My dad was a songwriter.
Oh, okay.
And so I had known him, we an acquaintance. We'd met a time or two, So he pulled up one day and I was like, hey, Michael, he's like, hey, yeah, I talked to him for a minute. He said, call me sometime. And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever, yeah, and then he hopped in his car and took off. And I was like, I don't have your number, So, so I was just like, whatever, nice guy. But, I just figured he was just saying that. And then, probably 2 weeks later, I ran into him again somewhere else. And he looked at me and said, you haven't called me yet. First thing he said to me. And I was like, no, I haven't. And he was like, here's my number. Call me and come by my office and play me some songs. And I was like, oh,
divine intervention.
Oh, yeah. So, God was like, come on.
Yeah. Divine intervention.
Went into his office. I played him a bunch of songs. I'd probably once a month, we'd get together for 6 months. I'd go in and I'd play him all the songs I'd written. And finally he was like, make me a CD. This is back when we had physical CDs.
Yeah.
He said, make me a CD of your 5 best songs. He said, make me 10 of them and I'll pass them out to whoever, And so he went and passed them out, and finally I got one call, that's how it started. Yeah. And then,
that's amazing.
So
I love it though. Like I just, from a personal side, like you genuinely love music. It was part of your life, regardless. But you're like, if it happens, it happens. And then it happens if you're valeting some guy's car. I mean, it's crazy.
It's wild, man. So just thankful to be able to get to do it for a living, and it worked out the way it did, and I didn't give up too soon.
Yeah.
So that's always my advice now to people. They're like, what, I'm like, just don't leave.
Yeah.
You stick around long enough and you're serious about doing it, something will happen. So
yeah, that's good advice. I mean, it's nothing really, you hear about viral stuff. I mean, it does happen, but most of it takes years and years.
You can't bet on going viral just because there's no way to, maybe someone's figured out how to make it happen.
Well, we have a technology on the back. We haven't figured out. We've had it a long.
It's like you just never know. So, and that's just kind of, the industry was there for a little bit, even with young artists who had deals. The label's like, well, we're waiting for a song to go viral before we put anything out, and it's like, it's just not a great way to. And I think they figured that out over 4 or 5 years, because you can't just manufacture that.
Yeah. And I don't, like I was saying, like we're totally green. So like, we don't pretend like we know anything about songwriting or any of that, but the process, let's say some, an artist, I know you've done some stuff for Kenny Chesney and Morgan Wallen and probably a lot more people, but people probably know those names, is like now, if you've done something with them, do they keep coming back to you, or is it just like they're like, hey, you did such a great job, I want you to work on this with me, or is it?
Some artists, yes, you kind of create that relationship with them. And then, like, I know Kenny, we had that song that he cut, and we had a hit with it, and I never even met the guy, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just kind of, I finally met him probably about a month ago. It was the first time I ran into him.
That's great.
Yeah. And that was, we had that single in 2020. So that was 6 years ago,
Yeah.
so I do say, I always tell the story. He did jumped in my DMs,
Yeah.
slid in my DMs, I think is what they say.
That's so crazy
One
to me,
day,
though.
and he's like, "Hey man, thanks for letting me have this song." And I was like, "What?" It's like, "Is this a joke?" And I clicked on it, and it was like his real account, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" But
That's so crazy
Yeah.
though, because as
great guy.
yeah,
Great
no,
guy.
I don't know him either way, good or bad or whatever. But to me, that's so nuts. Like if we were doing business stuff and like we did something with a partner and they like we hit it right, I'd be
Yeah.
like, hey man, Brad, like, hey
Yeah.
man, I don't know, I was curious.
Yeah.
Is it a
Well, and like
ongoing thing?
with a guy like Kenny, he's had how many number ones?
I mean,
40
yeah,
something, whatever, like an insane amount. So it's like he's just like, well, so 2 to 4 songwriters on every one of those songs. That's a so. But he does. Most artists do have their kind of group of songwriters that they keep coming back to, just because they connect in a certain way, or maybe that writer knows how to say what that artist wants to be said, and
it's just
so
I guess like it's from an outsider, it's just like you're trying to figure it out. Like when we got into this stuff, even trying to highlight artists and be around it, like it was like to me like this music business stuff's like insane. Like,
it's wild, man.
crazy,
It's
man.
well, it's ever evolving, and even artists with their sounds, they don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over and over. So let's say you get a few cuts on a guy on this record. Well, maybe he's wanting to do shift gears and do a different sound for this next record. So he's like, well, I'm gonna find all new songwriter, and so some artists do that. Some artists just stick with the same guys over and over, so it's
you
just,
wrote Up Down, right?
Mhm.
That was a big one too.
Yeah, so that was a fun one. It was with Michael Hardy and CJ Solar. I was valeting cars at the Omni Hotel when I wrote that.
Oh my God.
That was kind of the song that got me I say it, that's the one that got me my deal, but it wasn't anything at the time.
Yeah.
They're just like, we really like that song,
Yeah.
So
I love it though. The struggle is real. Like, the people know like what we learned because all the independent artists, like, you don't know, you think all these musicians are making money and whatever. And these guys got like 2 jobs and and you're like, you don't see that side of it.
Yeah.
It's a grind. Like what we learned is a grind.
It is, man. And even that song, we wrote that probably 2 years before it even came out, So it was, you just just because you write a great song doesn't mean it's ready to come out yet or whatever. So
sometimes they'll hold too.
They hold
right?
them. I think with that specific song, I think Blake Shelton had it on hold for a minute and Jason Aldean had it on hold, but it was just a little too rednecky for both of them. And then, Seth England, Morgan's manager, heard me. We were down at Key West Songwriters Festival, and I was playing that song, and he heard me play it, and he's texting me while I was up there. He's like, "Hey man, do you have a demo for that song?" And so, and I was like, and at the time he was Florida Georgia Lions manager, and so I was like, "Yes,
absolutely,
yes, they can have it," And then after the show, I went and talked to him, and he's like, "Yeah, man, we got this new artist we're working with." I was like, "Oh, okay, like whatever." He's like, "Yeah, his name's Morgan Wallen. He's going to be huge." I was like, "We'll see." No.
Yeah. I heard.
So,
I heard of him.
Thank you, Morgan Wallen. Yeah.
I mean,
but you never know. And at the time, Florida Georgia Line was at top of the world,
absolutely.
And Morgan hadn't even, I think he'd put one song out, or whatever. So it's like, in 5 years, things just flip. I mean, you just kind of never know who the next thing's going to be. So
what's it like? I mean, because obviously you're a musician, right? Drummer and guitarist, and you're a musician. What do you like the songwriting? I mean, obviously they get money and royalties from your songs you write, but like, do you ever want to see like, hey, I want to be that guy, I want to be Morgan Wallen, or I want to be like,
No,
I get that feel from all the songwriters. I get that feel. I'm just curious. Like,
I never, even when I was in bands, I never wanted to be the front man. I just wanted to, I love playing. I do enjoy being on stage, but I don't
Like,
I don't like the spotlight. You know what I mean? So I always so honestly, songwriting was perfect for me because you're kind of
in it.
adjacent to the limelight, you know, so you can kind of fly under the radar, but if somebody won't let you backstage, you can be like, hey, like I wrote this song.
Hey, dude,
Yeah.
come on, man.
You can get credibility if you need it, but nobody's going to know if you don't tell them,
Good
you
for
know?
you, man. I wrote
So,
the song, bro.
so I love just kind of, and it's fun because you can, you know, you hear people singing your songs or playing your songs, you know, on their Bluetooth or in their cars or whatever, and you just kind of be like, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's nice to just, you know, you see everybody reacting to it without them knowing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Artists, that's what I would hate about being a very famous artist is it's hard, you know, can't go out to dinner everywhere. You can't, you know.
You're on all the time. You
Yeah,
gotta be on.
some of them do, and some can get away with it, but you know, those big guys, they can't leave their house just about, you know.
Yeah. That's true, man. They still might like that money, though.
Yeah, yeah,
To be honest.
yeah,
They still might like that money. Just build a fortress somewhere and hide.
yeah.
Well, what would you tell? I always ask people because, like, you know, I mean, you're a young guy, but like, what would you tell aspiring like songwriters? Like, what would you give them any particular advice or?
Just if you truly love it, don't quit. Just keep doing it. And one thing I always like to try to tell, especially young writers, is like, don't try to sound like what you think people want to listen to, you know, just do what you instinctually want to do, because if people like that, then they're going to like, you know, because I always say like a Hardy situation, he's, you know, one of the best songwriters in town. You can try to write like Hardy all you want, but you're not going to do it better than he does it. So it's like, find that thing that you do and just do that. And people may not like it right now, but 5 years from now, you know, the sound changes constantly. So, you know, maybe you're ahead of the curve, you know, maybe they're just not there yet. So just kind of, and also then people are going to love you for what you do, not for what you know, anybody can try to copycat something, you know,
Absolutely. Like,
not everybody can be you know, you
yeah.
and uniquely you. So
Absolutely. I think it's great advice. I was curious about that. I'm liking to see some of these, like, you know, we grew up kind of in the hard rock, Van Halen, you know, Metallica days like that. I'm old, so lived through the punk rock days. And it's cool to see some of these like alt rock, punk, like it's starting to like trend back up because it literally like disappeared.
Yeah.
Like it was gone.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, like Dylan Marlowe's kind of doing that. The new Russell Dickerson song that has like that pop punk feel to it, and I love it. Nate Smith does a little more of the rock and stuff, and Hardy, I mean, he did a whole rock record, but he's a different machine, you know. But yeah, it's just fun to see all these genres, and it's funny. You'd be surprised how many of like the pop punk guys are in Nashville writing country music now.
Oh, really?
Or how many of those songwriters grew up on like the, you know, Sum 41 and Green Day and
absolutely.
Good Charlotte, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It's weird how it trends because, you know, it's funny. Like, I've been around so long enough. I like all genres, right? Country, rock, punk, jazz, blues. So I kind of have a broad like of music. So I kind of like, it doesn't really matter to me, but it's when it just gets in one genre, it's almost like, you know, somebody do something.
Yeah, break the rules
Bring
a
back
little
like
bit.
the Sex Pistols or those wackos.
Yeah,
You know, bring something like crazy back that maybe people have liked, but. Well, man, you're awesome. I love your just approach to it. It's great to sit down here, and it's an awesome venue. This place is great. So this is our second year here, but the people we've met are just, it's so funny to sing. We were talking about it before, like the songwriters we meet, like they're just so like down to earth, like laid back, just kind of, and it's neat.
Yeah,
it's really neat.
We get to be regular people, you know?
It's cool. You know, it's cool to, and what you find is we talked to a guy, Mutt Cooper, before that. And just hear the stories as he was a vet and all this stuff. And like, it's so odd, even like, no matter what industry you're in, everyone's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
People are like,
and even a lot of the artists, like you get to meet them and you're like, oh, you're just a regular guy. Like, Friday, Saturday night, you get up and play in front of, you know, 20,000 people, but like, you're just a guy. You like to drink beer, hunt and fish, and hang out with your friends, you know? Like, it's pretty wild meeting some of the, you know, like Luke Bryan and Morgan Wallen and Hardy, you know, all those guys. I keep saying the same guys over and over. That's just because they're who I know.
Yeah.
But it's like you meet them and you're like, oh, like
Yeah. Well,
You're just a guy,
West
man.
Texas, South
Yeah.
Georgia. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know where Morgan Wallen's from.
We all
but
grew
yeah,
up similar lifestyles, farming, whatever,
absolutely.
hunting, fishing, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Once you kind of, it takes as for me personally, it was kind of crazy, like first coming up and you get these first opportunities to meet these guys you've been listening to for years. And, you're like, oh my gosh, and then you meet them and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that what,
I could have hung out with that guy and gone.
yeah. It's like, why was I nervous to meet this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
It's like, they're just regular guys. Yeah. They just want to hang out.
Yeah.
Just like we do.
Well, I think it's just like you said. I mean, those guys or women, they were just like you, man. They've been valeting cars, doing whatever their trade, and they, that divine intervention, that one moment, that one song, that one introduction, trajectory, so that's, I guess, my message to the others, like, don't give up because you're one opportunity away from maybe like your whole life changing.
And that's like, I do know a few artists that didn't necessarily, they were similar to me. They're like, I just want to do something in music, I don't necessarily care for what it is. But like, I just want to do something. And, turns out they're a great singer.
Yeah.
And so they're like, hey, actually, we should make a record on you, and they're like, okay, and it's like, well, whatever I need to do to not have to go swing a hammer anymore or whatever. Like, it's like, let's do that,
Absolutely.
So yeah, thankfully I wound up on the songwriting side. So
well, man,
I don't have to do all the extra stuff that those artists do.
Hey, get out there and keep calling him back. If he's getting hit after hit, I mean, that just makes sense. I mean, from a business perspective, that's production. Like that's someone doing a good job. Well, I mean, I guess we're just, so I know you're not a big, out front guy and fame guy, but if people wanted to follow you or, you give tips or your Instagram or whatever it is, can you tell everybody, like, if you want them to?
Well, I got an Instagram. It's just at Brad Clawson.
Yeah.
And pretty simple.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. I'm not on there a ton, but it's there.
It's there, yeah.
I put whenever I have songs come out. It's funny because it's mostly for like my extended family.
Yeah.
Because I was like, when's your next song coming out? So I'm like, well, just follow
you on Instagram.
So I post that on there, and so then like the family and everyone from back home can kind of keep up with it. But
well, it's
not for me.
Yeah, well, we'd love to figure out like with what we did with band groupies, where it's more like the artists, independent artists. But it'd be cool, like, even if we could figure out, maybe you could help us out, like songwriters that are wanting to get, you know what I mean? Like something specific for where they could, I don't know. I don't know anything about it, but like, it might be cool to kind of get the people that, hey, we're not trying to be famous, but this is what we do. And we want to be involved. It'd be neat. Maybe we'll get some advice from you on like how to do it. Cause I mean, like I said, up till we did this last year, I've never been to a songwriter's fest. And it was like, we fell in love with it. It's like, oh, this is cool. And like, oh, she wrote this for Dolly Parton and whatever. You're like, what?
It's wild. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Well, I definitely don't claim to know it all. I still, most days I'm like, what are we doing? Like, how do we do this again?
That's all right. I live my life.
How do we get a song cut? I still, I'm like,
don't come to me for that.
It's wild, man. Yeah. Just everything, just adapt or die. That's kind of my philosophy in the music industry, is just keep with AI and all. I mean, it's like, all right, well, how do we use it to our advantage, And
I think as long as it doesn't take out the realness and the authenticity and the message and who someone is, if it, helps you create a better video or something, or helps your sound a little bit better for production, I mean, it's awesome. Don't lose your soul over it.
No, definitely not.
Well, Brad, you've been awesome, man.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
So Brad Clawson, folks, that's it from the Songwriter Festival.